dragon claw, wing and scale. Come now, let's examine a tale of the greatest beast ever considered. Another episode of Big Flying Lizards.
Welcome to Big Flying Lizards, a dragon movie and television podcast. I am your host, Bryce Wilson, joined once again by the one, the only, Chayce Hernandez. We are back, and we're back with a vengeance. Chayce, how are we doing today?
It's been good,
Well, we are covering one of the greatest shows of all time with the best season, one of the best seasons of the best show. And Chayce, I might say so. These might be some of the best episodes so far that we've gotten to. I know that we're supposed to say that every week, but I mean it, and I've got the documents to prove it. Discussing.
I absolutely agree.
Well, we're going to be discussing episode 5, The Wolf and the Lion, and episode 6, The Golden Crown. Now, I realized when editing the episode this last week, it doesn't really make sense to do 3 chapters when we're covering 2 episodes. And I'm sure Chayce was sitting there like, what the fuck is Bryce doing over here? Just trying to complicate it. Let's just divide it up into 2 sections. One for the one episode and one for the next. So I think that that's what we're going to be switching to going forward, just covering the episode in total and then just jumping to the next episode.
I couldn't have understood that. And, I'm glad I gave you my notes. I'm glad my constructive criticism of really just me bullying you has gotten through to you.
Hey, I'm glad as well. If it's all right with you, Chayce, I would love for us to just get down and dirty into the details and cover the first episode.
I think we shall. I think that's a great idea.
Alrighty. Episode 5, The Wolf and the Lion. Varys informs Ned Stark that Daenerys Targaryen is pregnant. King Robert orders Daenerys' assassination, but Ned refuses and resigns as hand to the king in protest. Catelyn Stark and her prisoner Tyrion Lannister arrive at the Eyrie, home of her sister Lysa Arryn. News of Tyrion's capture reaches King's Landing, angering Jaime Lannister. Jaime confronts Ned in the streets, leading to a fight. Jaime's men kills Ned's guards, and Ned is stabbed in the leg by one of Jaime's soldiers, leaving him wounded. Now, I just want to quickly cover at the beginning of this episode, not only did we really get some of the most amazing shots of the Red Keep that I think we see in the entire show, but we really see some of the interactions that Ned has with Robert. We see the interactions that he has like with Sir Barristan Selmy. And it's just interesting to see how we've talked about how Robert has this ability to like just make people want to be around him. But I think Ned, he's been aura farming, you might say, for long enough that a lot of these people just want to be his friends. And even Barristan Selmy was just over there saying like, yeah, like I'm glad I've never had to fight you on the battlefield over here, Lord Stark. You're an amazing fighter, and just going back and forth. So it's just interesting to see that level of that people want to be interacting with him.
Yeah, well, it's interesting as this season goes, because I feel like what we're covering today is truly the tipping point for old Ned, where it's like you said, like people will be stabbing Ned in the leg and be like, but I admire you and I respect you. Like people will absolutely do wrong by that man with the utmost respect. And I think that's really his only character arc at all.
Well, it's funny you say that, because I'm sitting there saying like he has the charisma that if he had any desire to play the game, even though he's not that intelligent compared to like a Littlefinger or a Varys or any of these other people, just of his ability to get people that want to be around him would have been a dangerous play, because he's already doing, and as we'll see in episode 6, he's making big moves and making big splashes. But there's something that's really interesting about this. And again, I didn't necessarily cover this in the recap portion, but before the tournament, King Robert was getting armored up to go joust, and it was a whole thing where he was too fat for his armor, so he sent his squire Lancel Lannister to go fetch the breastplate stretcher, and then he had a laugh like, I hope he's going there for hours and doesn't realize that's not real. In the books, this was a whole ploy for Cersei to trick Robert into going and jousting and then to die very similarly to how the one knight died in the last time we talked. There were plots for somebody to like accidentally kill the king during this tournament, and Ned technically saved Robert by convincing him not to go in. But but instead they decide to be like trying to be more funny about it and make it just a more of a reminiscing of the good old days rather than an actual like intrigue portion, which for a show filled with intrigue, you'd think that this would be a great opportunity to actually show that the king is in danger, because we haven't really seen too much threats to the king other than like, the Lannisters are up to something, but you don't really know what they're plotting to do against Robert directly.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a missed opportunity in, once again, I think we already talked a little bit about Robert and how he just wasn't really given his due. And he had such a short, real runtime compared to a lot of people. And even,
I do have some thoughts in episode 6 where
get into it.
he was shining in these 2 episodes.
No, he was.
This whole interaction where I truly saw Robert when he was in this tent, because you saw the jovial, like friendly, just wants to be Ned. Like he wants to be so badly just bros with Ned. But Ned is like, no, you're my king. You can't be my bro. And he keeps like trying to get him to drink. He keeps trying to like, hey, let's go jousting, man. And he's like, no, your majesty, you've got responsibilities to do. And you see him get annoyed, and then you see him get angry, and then you see him because that's the thing about Robert, is that he was so passionate as a person, but his emotions change just like that. Like he'd be super angry one moment, then he'd be laughing the next, and just sort of unpredictable in that realm, just like how we really see him in this scene.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think it's interesting too, because what's funny is, and I'm sure the books are so much different, like you're mentioning already, but even in the show, you can already start to see of like why Robert brought Ned there. It was like, Ned immediately is running the kingdom.
Yes.
And very quickly running into all the issues with everything and the books and all of this. And it really starts to make you wonder. It's kind of funny because it is such a double-edged sword they do with this, but you're like, how has Robert survived at all? Because you're like, it'd be so easy to kill him.
Well, that's the thing that I think that we discussed a little bit last week, is up to this point, Robert has survived strictly just because of how the fear that he installed in people for the past 15, 17 years, because it's only up until recently where he got really fat, really just but even as we said in the books, he still was powerful. But I'm sure for the first 10 years of his reign that he just looked like this warrior king that just loomed over everybody and just ruled with an iron grip. And I mean, yes, there's the whole intrigue level of it, but there's also something to be said. It's like how nobody fucks with Khal Drogo. Like nobody wants to fuck with him because they know that he can just rip their throats out. No big deal.
Yeah, I think that's part of, and we talked about this last time, of the issue with just like, man, they should have went back some time skips, because there is that ability, but I think I don't know, they do such a good job of posing him and Ned in such odd ways here, in their relationships in these next episodes. Really, because it's kind of at this point you start to see Ned almost have like a disdain and lack of respect for Robert.
Yes.
And where he's let shit go, and I don't you really see him really. Oh, I'm dying.
Don't.
This is how I go. I'm going out like
No, I can't even see you.
That's funny. No, God, don't eat popcorn. Anyways, you start to see Ned really click on to Cersei a lot. Like he really immediately is onto that. And I think I want to push back on when you said about Ned not being as smart as Littlefinger in that. He wasn't as smart, I'll give you, but his ability to read people in situations is probably some of the best in the show, if not, go back.
Yes. I think he's got great intuition. Like we mentioned, he was being raised to be a soldier, and I think that that has really benefited him as he's fulfilled his role as Hand of the King. Now, I mean, sort of in the similar, I know I just was saying that this was Robert's episode. This was also an episode where you really got to see a lot of Varys. Varys was really involved in this episode. He was talking to Ned. He was talking with Littlefinger. He was talking with the guy in Pentos who married off Daenerys. But he's like all over, and he and Robert were really shining and showing that they were the stars of the show, you might say. And both of them, Varys's actor does such an amazing job.
Absolutely.
As somebody who's reading the books, he's almost exactly what I imagine. I picture Robert a little bit different. I picture Ned a little bit different. Varys, he's almost exactly what I'm imagining in the books.
Yeah, they picked such a good actor for him in a lot of ways, both look department and just like the way he's conveyed. But one thing I liked they did a really good job with the way they recorded or filmed his role is it's in bits and pieces, like you said. Like and there's the whole spider part to it. There's the they never really let you know what he's up to, and they never give you even an agenda. You just see him working, and it gives him such a good just the vibe to him of fits the character so well. Just the way it was filmed and then cut.
Oh, exactly. Well, and I know we mentioned this sort of in our first recording that we did of a Game of Thrones, but in this episode, you really get the feeling that this is a game between Littlefinger and Varys. And
Mm-hmm.
just seeing their dynamic and how they're holding stuff over each other's head. And that's something that I actually really like because in the books, it's more that Varys seems to be everybody's friend and he's giving everybody a little bit of details here and a little bit of details there. But in the show, there's that conversation that Littlefinger's having. He's like, "Oh, you know that about me? How interesting. What would you think the queen would say if she knew that you did this or if she knew that you were doing that?" And they're just sort of just blackmailing each
Band for
other.
band.
Exactly. And I really love, and again, we've talked about on this show and on this podcast in general, how we love it when they show accuracy to the book and not deviate. But I think that this is something that again just it was the right move to make to just show how there's games within the games going on that we never as readers know about.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what they do so well in this first season. Is just
Yeah.
they're showing you the politics. It's mostly politics.
Yeah, I mean, episode 5 is one of the first episodes that we actually see real. Yes, in the last episode there was the tournament and we saw jousting, and in the very first episode we saw the White Walkers kill some brothers in the Night's Watch. But this is where we see some actual street skirmishes where Jaime fights Ned and the Lannister guards kill the Winterfell guards. Like it's been a little bit slow. It's not like how it is in the later seasons where there's just battles all over the place and
Yeah.
fighting
And they also I don't know, this first season they do as we get to the end of it, I'm excited. They set you up so well for what to expect for the rest of this, which is just absolute heartbreak.
they are trying so hard to get you to love Ned Stark and that
And they do a good
root
job
for
of it.
they do. They are hook, line, and sinking us all over the place. And even right now with Catelyn, they're doing that as well. They're giving her some faults. They're giving her, but at the same time, it's not like it's just Ned who's an interesting, like that's, and I think we keep saying that, and I feel like it gets a little repetitive, but the casting and the characters are just all so good. There's a few weak links, but everybody else is just so good that it helps just support all of them. Which
Absolutely.
it's fun, which it's funny that there's a scene that was in this episode that I was dying about because had completely forgotten it, and I don't know if you recall this or not, but it's when Sansa's just being a total asshole to her Septon, who's helping her out, just like cutting
Mhm.
her off and saying, "Oh, I don't care." And then Joffrey walks in, and he's like, "My lady, I am so sorry. I've treated you so poorly these past few days. You're my lady." And he gives her a necklace and he's like, "I will love you like nobody else until the end of my days," and just like spewing all this stuff and being so smooth. And I'm like, this viper over here is going to be the bane of your existence soon. And it's like
Yeah,
got the sweet lovey music in the background, and it's just like it's setting us up so hard, so when he does flip, it's just like, what the fuck?
it's crazy because you're 100% correct, but it's also they do such a good. I would say by this point in the season, the actors really figured it out. They figured these characters out quick, and all of a sudden, like Cersei, Tyrion, Ned, even the girl Sansa and Arya, like you really, and once again, this is another point I'll have to bring up, but like even Catelyn, they just really got into their roles really quickly and really figured out. And I don't know, they make you hate or love characters so intentionally, and on a rewatch, you you see that they're intentionally like sowing some seeds. But at that first watch, you're just seriously, you have no idea. You're just like, oh yeah, I hate Joffrey. Everything he does, I hate. But I think we forgot to mention one of our favorite moments in the show, which is the introduction of Bronn.
Yes, we this episode, well, actually next episode is his real time to shine, but in this episode when they go to the Eyrie, we really see what Bronn is like. He's a sellsword. You can see that relationship that's really starting to develop with him and Tyrion. They're joking back and forth about, well, you always need a woman right after you have a battle. And they're joking around and all that stuff, and Bronn is going to be a big character going forward. So, and uh, I again, like we're definitely gonna be laying the praises down, but he's such a solid actor.
I forgot that he's in the entire show.
Yeah, he's a day
You kind of think
oneer.
he feels like he comes in halfway, but he really is there the entire time.
And it's not even like that he's subtle. Like he's arguably like a front and center character. Like sure in these first couple episodes he's not having a lot of lines, but later on he's, I mean, in these later episodes, he's got a few of them. I think he's considered part of the main cast. Let me check here, which,
I'm trying to remember it might be my favorite scene in this entire show.
well, which one is that?
I think it's next season though.
Okay. I really like how they do some subtle nods and winks to the the books without actually putting a ton of it into it. For example, as a non-book reader, I don't know if you know this or not, but Stannis, who's in the second season, but he's not in this first season at all, he's technically part of the small council. He's part of and should be in all those meetings, like where they discuss that they need to kill Daenerys.
Mm-hmm.
He's technically supposed to be there, but it's never mentioned in the show that he's supposed to be there. But there's always a seat open at the table, even when the king showed up. And I'm like, oh, that's a subtle nod and a wink saying, oh, he's supposed to be there.
Yeah, so I did not know that.
As a book reader, I appreciate having these sort of Easter eggs available for me to be picking out.
Yeah. One thing I'll say too, also about this part of the show, is the world building they've done is really good. They show Catelyn's sister, I'm forgetting the name, but they show their kingdom. They're bringing a lot more kingdoms in. They do a really good job of kind of showing how big it actually is. Because for a while there, you only see 6 different places, and so having Tyrion and jail and all of those things, as those things come up, gets real interesting.
Yes. Before we dive too much into Tyrion in jail, I do want to just bring up this particular scene that, and I was misremembering. I thought that this scene was in the next episode, but it's actually in this episode. I think when it comes to dialogue, this might be one of my favorite scenes of all time. And I might have to just come back to this. I might have to bookmark this and talk about it later. But this is the scene between King Robert and Cersei. And they're in there talking together about how the conversation starts because it's right after Ned quits being Hand of the King, and Cersei goes in there to just talk with Robert. And it's one of those conversations that it's just so fascinating to me to see because you can it's like they showed such an amazing way of showing their relationship without actually, like, I don't think anything could be, because like Cersei comes in and she's a little mocking of him, and Robert is just sort of grumbling the entire time. And then but then she actively starts trying to talk to him, and like they talk about Lyanna Stark, and she's just like, he's like, you've never asked about her before. Why do you ask now? And she's like, well, I don't really love you anymore. And so like it doesn't matter. And it's just such an interesting scene where Robert is like probably for the first time opening up to Cersei, but he's opening up to her what like right when he knows that there's no emotional intimacy, physical intimacy, just any level of closeness to her. And again, I don't know if this is just how the actress is, but it looked like Cersei's like was holding in tears. If you go back and just like look at her eyes, like they were a little watery throughout this. So again, it gives that illusion that Cersei might actually still love Robert, because she mentions like, I did love you once. Like I wanted to be your queen at one point. And she was like, was there ever a chance for us to be together? And Robert said, no, there really wasn't. Just straight savage at that point.
Well, this is one thing I think's interesting about this same scene as you're bringing it up. I think King Robert might be the only person I've seen Cersei actually be scared of.
Yeah.
Because you can see when she talks to him, it's timid. She doesn't communicate to him like she does everyone else. Like she is scared of him.
Well, it's because he's literally the only person in the kingdom that can do anything he wants to her. Technically, and it talks about it in the books a little bit more. Like, it obviously nothing comes of it, but she in the books thinks that she can command her father around and like give orders to her father. And he pretty much has the attitude like, who do you think got you to be queen? Like, I'm not listening to you. I'm going to ignore you. But Robert, on the other hand, he literally is the highest rank that you can get up in the kingdom. No one is he's max leveled over here, and you're not passing the big guy there.
And he's ruthless.
And
Like,
he's
he didn't
ruthless.
like you.
No, and that's the thing. Like, he wasn't a fan of the Lannisters because they showed up really late to the rebellion. The alliance was set just because they needed to have Lannister support to hold on to the throne. And I mean, he still is in love with Lyanna Stark. He's not, I don't think he ever really, there's a whole psychological thing that you can get behind Robert. And I really actually would love to do some sort of deep dive on that, because like Robert's mother died at a very young age. And I'm wondering if George was trying to go with where, because he lost his mother at such a young age, and that's maybe why he's such a womanizer, is because he's always searching for that love and for that just affirmation from women, but is never able to fulfill that because he's just looking for women for sex. He's not really looking for anything other than sex. Like he
Question,
doesn't.
I can't remember. Did he?
Yeah,
I don't think him and Cersei ever actually even slept together.
certainly not. Well, and that's another thing too, is like, and we talked about this in the, like, they certainly haven't slept together in the show so far. And Ned is going, there's going to be a conversation in a couple episodes where Cersei talks about how on their wedding night, Robert was so drunk that he was saying Lyanna's name, like calling Lyanna's name to Cersei while they were having sex. So like they do have sex at some point.
I couldn't remember that part.
No, I mean it's such a small scene, and there was a lot that it's like I think she says that when she does her famous line, like when you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die, like that sort of thing. And yeah.
Yeah, for some reason I remember the same scene. But anyways, yeah.
But yeah, I mean
Not a
it's
loving relationship there.
there is it's not a loving relationship. And I mean like I know we had talked about a couple weeks ago how Robert is supposed to be like this version of Zeus and Cersei is supposed to be this version of Hera. And I feel like this is like the closest we actually to see like what a Zeus Hera conversation would look like, where Zeus is just like, I am only with you because we're the two most powerful gods and we had to form this like unity, but I don't want to be married to you. And Hera's like, I just want love. I just want to be. Hayden asks how the popcorn is over there.
Honestly, dude. This kettle corn has got me in a grip. I've done nothing. You can't see me. I've done nothing but stuff my face this entire episode. It's been like 30 minutes of me nonstop putting popcorn in my God, it's not even me eating popcorn like in a respectful manner. It's me eating popcorn like I'm alone at a movie theater.
Billy says legendary, so
Dude, I can't stop. I won't stop. I can stop whatever I want.
hashtag can't stop, won't stop over
I don't even
here.
have a problem. You guys have a problem. You don't know how to have fun.
But it's kettle corn, Hayden. At least that's what Chase is claiming. So
I want you to
don't
know, literally just barely, I was like, okay, I need to stop because I'm eating half of this bag.
think...
And then he brought it up and I started eating it again. And now I'm back. My hand
Well,
is so dirty, there's nothing else it'll do for the rest of the show.
welcome to Big Flying Lizards.
I
Dragon
got a
Baby
buttery
Paul.
hand.
We talk about buttery hands and dirty hands and dragons. Use that as you will. Sponsored by Bad Dragon.
And boom, chicka pop.
Well, what I was actually noticing as well, and this is going to be a bigger deal in later episodes, Robert is supposed to have black hair. It's a big deal that Robert has black hair. But Robert doesn't have black hair in this show. He has brown hair. And it's quite obviously like brown hair.
Why do you think that is?
I do not know. I genuinely have no idea. Like, I don't even think, like, why not even get Mark Addy some dye?
That's
Just
what I'm
dye
saying.
up
You didn't have a wig in the budget?
Daenerys is wearing a wig. Viserys is wearing a wig. Like, why can't they wear wigs?
I didn't know. That is interesting. I wonder what the creative thought process was with that.
I don't know what. Sorry, the chat is going off now. They Billy, we're Chase. How you doing? David in the chat is asking how we doing. Hi, David. I see you there. I'm doing great.
David, you're getting. That's it. You get instead of the 5 big booms. I'm toasting this popcorn to you, David.
The best part is I can't see any of it.
I think I prefer that. This is great. You know what we need to do is a compilation.
What do we
I do
need?
nothing but fucking eat during these. One day I made and ate an entire bowl of ramen.
I know. I had to edit that motherfucker. I had to edit that shit.
That was a good film.
It was good film, but Riley was giving you so much shit during that stream as well. He was like, "You're eating again? You're eating more?"
This is just a good reason to be on the stream because it's so much more fun.
Well, on that note, I hope everybody is doing well that's in the chat. We are a realm of positivity, so I hope everyone is doing well, and I hope that you all strive to be doing as well as Chase is, eating popcorn without a shirt on.
This makes me think of the Whitest Kids You Know, the Abe Lincoln one, where he's like, it's like, shut the fuck up. He's like, I'm going to piss in this bottle, and when I come back, have you never seen that? You got to go back. Or you've never seen the Whitest Kids You Know.
I don't think so, no.
I'm hijacking this stream next episode. We're going to do a review of the Whitest Kids You Know. You know what we're going to start doing when I have episodes? I get 5 minutes of absolutely uncompromised takeover where I get to just do a review of whatever the fuck I want for 5 minutes.
What is different from what we've been doing or not, Chase? What is any different from what we've been doing and what you just described?
Right now, the content comes to me. I'm going to bring the content to you.
Okay.
Anyways.
Well, speaking of bringing the content to you, I think this is a great jumping off point to talk about episode 6, the Golden.
Why is content and content spelled the same?
I am not at liberty to answer these questions at this time. My lawyer recommends that I plead the fifth. All right. Episode 6, A Golden Crown. King Robert reappoints Ned as Hand of the King before leaving to go hunting. Villagers report atrocities by Sir Gregor Clegane the Mountain, a Lannister bannerman. Ned sentences Gregor to death and summons Tywin Lannister to answer for his crimes. Ned plans to send Sansa and Arya back to Winterfell for safety. Ned learns the truth. Joffrey, Marcella, and Tommen are Jaime's children, not Robert's. Bran is attacked by wildlings while testing his new saddle, but is rescued by Robb Stark and Theon Greyjoy. The wildling woman Asha is captured and enslaved. In the Eyrie, Tyrion demands a trial by combat. Lysa Arryn chooses Sir Vardis Eden as her champion. Bronn volunteers as Tyrion's champion and kills Vardis, securing Tyrion's freedom. Viserys Targaryen, impatient with Khal Drogo, threatens Daenerys and her unborn child. Drogo executes Viserys by pouring molten gold on his head, crowning him as once demanded. This is such a good episode.
Such a good episode with such a letdown, I will say.
Okay, a letdown?
Okay.
Like in the episode?
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
So this is something Game of Thrones did to me. You can't see me right now, but I have goggles on. I look silly. Anyways, Daenerys' brother's death was not bad enough.
It's not bad enough.
I was really let down with the whole pulled cord on his, like, it didn't hit the spot.
You mean to say, Chase, have you ever had wax? Like melted
No,
wax?
Freaky. Whoa, freaky ass. No, I haven't had no wax.
That's some tame shit. That's some tame shit. What are we talking about? That's like second base over here.
Whoa.
What I mean to say though is, well, first of all, how hot is this cook fire that it's melting gold? Like, let's be real here.
And doesn't gold have a pretty low cook point though?
Not campfire, I don't think. I mean, here,
you can bend gold in your hand.
That is true, but let's see how hot.
You think you're so fucking smart?
Does
with your degree?
Gold, how hot does a fire have to get to melt gold? Okay, so it just needs to get 1,947 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay, now look up your average.
Hot does average. Oh wow. It says between 1,100 and 2,000. So I mean, like, it's possible.
So shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I guess I need to I think I need to go to shut the fuck upsville over here.
Since you fucking know so much with your fucking degree.
Chase, do I need to remind everyone I got my degree in sports management? I got my degree in a fake. I got a fake.
Now you can't handle the heat. Anyways, no, I mean, that's really funny, actually, that whole entire spiel. But he's such a little bitch. Like, I just wanted more.
It's funny you say that because, like, once you read the books, they make him in the show so much more actually sympathetic than he is in the books.
See, I will say, Game of Thrones only gives you one satisfying death.
Only one?
There's only one that I was like, yeah.
Not. What about?
Actually, I'll take that back. I'm gonna say 5. because there's 4 little bitches that got hung that deserved it. Especially that
Yeah.
fucking kid. If you know, you know. But anyway,
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
no, we're not getting ahead of ourselves. If you know, you know. But no, to me, it just wasn't enough. I'm like, the Dothraki are these like absolutely brutes, and that's all you're gonna do.
Well, that's something we have to, again, they don't do that great of a job of explaining, but they're in their holy city. So the Dothraki, how the Dothraki work is they're technically all under one people. And when they come to their holy city, there's no fighting. But when they're out in the plains, cows can fight amongst each other and can kill each other and like enslave each other. But once they get back to the actual motherland, essentially, you're not allowed to spill blood, you're not allowed to be like killing with like the loophole is that there's no blood being spilled, and no weapons allowed, and it's just to make sure that they come together as one Dothraki family, essentially. So the fact that they found that loophole of spilling molten gold on his head, that they were able to be savage over here and kill him that way. I mean, how badass is that though? By killing a man by literally crowning him with molten gold.
I think it could have been done better.
I mean, I'll be honest, I don't want to go out that way.
I mean, I'm scared to go to sleep at night, so like, I don't think fear is what I'm measuring this off. He was such a little bitch that it just wasn't satisfying. Like I said, it just was like, okay, cool, but like, it just didn't scratch the itch for me.
Well, speaking of not scratching the itch for you, they're saying in the chat, now that I think about it, Chase was actually a lot more likable when he had kettle corn with
You can't see this, Bryce, but this is what the people do to me.
demanding the kettle corn. Hashtag bring back the kettle corn.
You guys fucking drive me crazy.
Chase, you're just a man of the people. That's all it is.
You didn't see it, but I took a hit from a piece of popcorn like it was a cigarette.
I hope I get to see this all in like I hope there's just something wrong with this system right now and that I'll get to see in post all of this.
That's great.
Going going back up. I'm sorry. Like I know we sort of jumped to the end of the episode. This is also the first time we get to see, well, actually, this is what makes me angry that they didn't include flashbacks, because in the books, this is when we actually got a flashback in the books. When Ned is waking up, he was dreaming about his duel where he rescued his sister from some people of the Knights of the King's Guard. And when he awoke, he was woken up to the king and the queen being in his room. They could have very easily done like a 30-second flashback, but instead they just chose to just dive right on in. But
Yeah. I feel like they crammed so much in this episode, especially.
they really did. So, I mean, I can't get too upset for them at that point. But at the same time, like, I feel like there were other things that they were trying to give more details about that I don't think were really as consequential. For
Such as.
example, well, we really got to like Bran was continuously having his three-eye raven dreams in this episode. And it just seems like every episode we're getting the three-eyed raven episode. We see a three-eyed raven.
And they did shit with that super quickly.
Yeah, and it's literally at the very end of the show. Like, it doesn't mean anything. But even in this show currently, almost every single episode ever since he woke up, we see a three-eyed crow. And it's like, okay, what does it mean? What does it mean?
They did beat the dead horse a little bit with that one.
Yeah, I don't know. So this is also the episode where Danny had to eat. Oh, well, okay, going back to that. Really, how do I say this? The people know. The people know that what makes me angry is when women characters are written poorly, because it gives people an excuse to be like, see, women bad, or like, see, females can't be a lead character. And that's not the case, because there are several examples of women doing well as a lead but with poor writing, it really makes it, because I've seen Emilia Clarke do very well. I've seen stuff where she is actually, but they are trying so hard to make her into this like Masonic, like Jesus-esque figure so early on in the show. And that's not really how it was. Like, they're trying to make it like the Khalasar loves Dany and they're like worshiping Dany and they don't even care about Khal Drogo because she's so amazing. But that's not the case. The Khalasar respected Drogo. Drogo's wife was like, yeah, she's the Khaleesi, but she's not our badass wielding sword leader over here who rides horses. But in this show, they're trying to make Khaleesi, like trying to make Daenerys this big badass character when she really hasn't done anything. And like the whole instance where she goes to a brazier, she puts the egg into the brazier, steps back, and her handmaid sees her holding the egg. She's like, "Oh, Khaleesi, Khaleesi!" And she's like, "You're hurt," and I'm like, "That's why write that? Why like that's there's so much other things you could have written." But I'll get off my soap opera.
No, I think you're being on a bigger point for me in the show on this rewatch, which is the Dothraki. And honestly, anybody that's not, how do I put this? Like, they're not in the actual, like, on the council, they do wrong by them and their militaries so severely. Like, the Dothraki, I feel like when I look at as, like, just their character arc in this entire show, for what? For
I
what?
mean,
Like, there's so much there. They developed an entire language
yeah.
and then just didn't explore any of that other than by the means for Daenerys.
Well, not even that. Like, and I think, and again, not to beat a dead horse because, oh my gosh, sorry, not to beat a dead horse here, but they wasted having Jason Momoa as Khal Drogo. Jason Momoa is a great actor.
But they didn't know that at the time. This was kind of like,
I mean, yeah, like he was sort of, it was earlier on in his career, but Khal Drogo is a lot more involved and a lot deeper and more complex of a character than he is in the show. In the show, I almost feel like they're borderline just like, hey, he's a savage. Like he's
that's
literally this,
100% what they do.
yeah, they're just literally like he's a barbarian. He's a horse guy. He rapes and pillages. That's all he is. And I'm like, well, that's a part of his character, but once you see past all the rest of that stuff,
Okay. Okay. Once you look past that into his dreamy eyes.
I mean, once you play with the beard a little bit,
Yeah. No, but I agree with you. I just think that they made the Dothraki so one-sided.
yes.
It almost makes them boring. I think it makes Daenerys' story. We're not there yet, but we're just not there yet. But
Yes, and I think that season 2 is so much more guilty of this. Again, we'll talk about it once we reach there, but I really feel like they're trying to make something out of nothing right now. They're not trying to like tell her actual story. They're trying to make a story for her. And I just
can I say something controversial potentially?
Chase by all means.
I think actually, looking back at this exact moment, it's at this moment we should have known they were going to drop the ball at
Okay,
the end
expand
of
on
this
it a
show.
little bit.
Because if you really think about it, which we won't ruin stuff that's not already, the show's been out for a long time, but this exact part of the show, when you think about how poorly she's written in like the actual character arc, and like it makes her very end of her character arc make sense because of how just like this is the only way I can say it. Her character is always so flat. I'm gonna say if it wasn't for her being hot and dragons, it would have fallen completely apart.
Yeah.
And I think you take those things away, which is what happens, and her it's such a linear character path, and it's so stale. And I think this predicts the fall that is Game of Thrones.
Which is funny because you say that it's right at the beginning. It's right
Yeah,
there.
and I think they predicted it. I think they predicted their own downfall.
Yeah, and it's sad because like Daenerys is a fascinating character.
Great character. Like, I think the character carried through bad writing.
Yeah. And like also in the books, like she's such a fascinating character. Just even taking the abstract, it's the final lineage of a fallen dynasty of literal like dragon human hybrid people that is trying to take her kingdom back from a usurper. And what's not cool about that? I mean, what? I don't know.
And they don't really explain that very well either.
Yes. Yes. But speaking of explaining things well, do you know what was one of my low key favorite parts of this episode, but just in a different way where I was cracking up like crazy?
Mm-hmm.
So, this was the episode where Tyrion also said that he wanted to confess his sins, and that's how he was able to demand his trial by combat. So during confessing his sins, he was talking about all the misdeeds he's done in his life. And he was talking about how he off in some soup and served it to his sister. And he was listing off all these different ways. And his favorite thing that he listed for doing it, he's like, I flogged the one-eyed man.
You know what's if it seems like all of the good writing really did go to Tyrion.
It did. But also, Peter Dinklage is arguably one of the best actors in the show. So I mean, like,
Absolutely.
like you almost have to wonder, like, did he write those himself?
Yeah, you could go either way with it. Yeah, he also just has a more fun character. I feel like.
Oh, for sure. And like, even though, like, again, I don't want to say I have my gripes with Tyrion, but there's a lot of things that with Peter Dinklage, there's a lot of things that Peter Dinklage wasn't necessarily bringing to the character. But I also don't know if that was Peter Dinklage or the writing cast, because again, as we mentioned before, Tyrion is so much more of a sinister character.
Hey, that's a dark character. Actually, the humor in him is actually not there. I feel like in his actual, I'd imagine in the book, it's like the comedy factor's not there as much. It's a lot more serious and dark character.
Well, the comedy is there, but in a different way. He's just sarcastic and an asshole, and everyone assumes that he's just a dumbass because he doesn't take anything serious. But because nobody takes him serious, people underestimate him, and that's where he's able, like, I am smarter than literally all of you, and I'm out, I'm plotting 12 ways to Sunday to see your demise. And that's more what it is, because he's just he's even a smartass to Tywin, which I'm having such a hard time remembering if he actually is still a smartass to Tywin in the show or not. So I'm excited because I think we're getting Tywin back in this next week. So it'll be exciting to see him talking there.
I think he is, but I don't think he is initially.
Yeah. There's something else that I do want to just complain about this last scene with Viserys. And it's that wish that we would have gotten to see more of like the pity that Daenerys felt for Viserys at the end. Like, but I also understand because in the book, it said that she was like cold and emotionless when he died. But internally, because you're hearing her monologue, she's talking about how she's remembering the boy that he was. She's remembering the man, this guy who used to be her brother. And there's a lot of just in her internal monologue, a lot of sadness to him dying, even though the character's not necessarily showing it. I wish they would have done that because, yeah, he was a sick fuck. And I know a lot of people were cheering, waiting for him to die. But I mean, it's still her brother. And at that point,
It was just those two.
it was just the two of them. It was just the two of them. So I mean, like, I wish there would have been at least a little bit of grief. Like, I wish they would have even just zoomed in on her eyes and you could see like a tear welling up and then like fade or so. I don't know. Like, they could have done something.
They made her such a flat character through this entire show. Because it's like the scene should have been. That's what I mean when I say like it wasn't satisfying. Like the scene just felt like it was like, gold on head, like that's crazy. But like the scene should have had a lot of depth to it. It should have been like Khal Drogo being like, "No, I'm not doing what you think. Like you guys didn't buy me. You guys didn't. This your sister. Your sister is mine, and it has nothing to do with you." Like that's really what's happening. Is it's basically just like the end of the changing of what the course was supposed to be, and for both him and Daenerys, and like it just is like, oh nope, like he's dead. Daenerys is like free again from a bad man, and just there's no depth to it.
Yeah, I completely agree on that. And I also, thinking back, it's such a big deal because Khal Drogo says in the common tongue, a crown for the king. And it's like a big deal because at this point you've only heard him say no. And I almost wish that that would have been like the line that they ended on. Like he says,
That would
a
have been
crown,
that would have been really good.
and then pours it on and you just hear him scream, and then the shot ends with just him dead on the floor. But instead they pan over to Dany and she's like, fire can't kill a dragon, he's not a real dragon. I'm like, okay, we just lost the moment. Like,
And can we just talk about her bad? I like the character, I like the actor, but very much her style is just nah. Like it's just like
flat.
it's so flat.
And again, like I really am curious on like what she was being told and like what direction she was being given in the background by everyone, because like I don't think that this is the right direction they should have taken with the character. I think, and then we see it shift up in later seasons. At least I remember it shifting up in later seasons. I guess we'll see once we get there. But
Yeah, it could. I think looking ahead, what they were trying to foresight on, which once again is predicting of the end, is this like she's a psychopath, basically, like Mad King vibe that they're trying to give her. But they haven't explained the Mad King. They haven't, like, there's just none of that there. And so once again, it just falls flat because there's no explanation. There's nothing.
yeah, but I did hear like where it didn't really explain the Mad King, and they really haven't. Like they keep saying the Mad King and the Mad King, and like they've even barely mentioned like how the Mad King killed Ned's father and Ned's brother. But even then, they haven't really explained that much. We just know that there was a rebellion because of the Mad King, but we don't know what that really entails. And again, flashbacks. Just utilize a flashback or two. Like how hard is it?
I'm telling you, flashback or two could have saved this show.
I know that this episode was called The Golden Crown, but let's talk about what was actually the highlight of the episode, and that was the fight between Sir Vardis Egan and Bronn. Bronn, I
Yeah.
mean, again, like something I wish that it would have literally been just an extra 20 seconds that they would have added to the show, but it's such a big deal in the book. So first of all, Lysa Arryn's crazy. When we first meet her, she's literally like breastfeeding her 9-year-old child.
Which
Over
when you
there.
see, you're like, they put that on TV?
Yeah. Yeah, they put that on.
How did they sign off on a kid actor doing that? Watching that, and I was like, who signed on that?
I do want to explain that Lysa Arryn had a sword that was Jon Arryn's sword. And she was like, I want you, Sir Vardis Egan, to use this sword to kill Bronn. And Sir Vardis Egan was like, that's not really my sword, and I don't really know how to use. I mean, I'm not used to using that type of a sword. So she pretty much made him use this sword that he wasn't even comfortable using. So that again, like I can see why they wanted to just show how badass Bronn was, but at the same time, like I would show again a level of how insane Lysa is and just how crazy she is. Because I don't know if you were getting this feeling, but I feel like if the show was from the Lannisters' point of view, that this little boy would be just as evil as Joffrey.
Yeah, they don't necessarily show. It's almost like the angle they take with her and their house in general is an odd one because it really doesn't get a lot of screen time
No.
at all, even though having some key moments and having a really badass house. Like they never even show. I would have loved an outside view of whatever that was. And I don't think we get one of those the entire time.
No, and they're one of the major houses. They're just as large and just as powerful as the Lannisters, as the Starks, as the Tyrells. Like, they are a very well respected house with a large army. But again, like, the reason they're not involved with the war is because Lysa is like, no, I want to stay here and be safe with my son. But again, like, we don't see that level of crazy. Like, we need to see some crazy.
Yeah, they don't do a good job of that. I also don't think they do a great job of showing. Not they did with the Greyjoys, but because once again, the reason she could do that was because of how their castle was positioned. Nobody could get to them.
Yes. And the craziest thing too is they nerfed their castle compared to the books. Like,
Really?
dude, there is at some point where you have to, like, essentially it gets so narrow a path that you can't even ride donkeys up on it, because that, like, for most of it you have to ride a donkey and the donkey knows how to ride, but then it gets so narrow and so high up that you have to walk up, or you could be carried up in a basket where they just do levers and pulleys and pull you up over there. So, and it's like a whole ordeal where Lysa made Catelyn Stark climb up to the Eyrie in the middle of the night because she's that crazy.
Yeah, they just didn't do a good job showing that. They don't really show why Catelyn and her don't get along. Like, there's just a lot there that it's just assumed.
Yeah, they just assume that you've read the books.
Yeah.
But it was such a good fight, though, too. I think it was a very well choreographed fight.
I agree.
Braun's actor did such a great job. The actor of Sir Vardis Egan, he did a great job.
One thing while you're doing that we didn't get into as much is the Jaime Lannister and Ned's fight.
Yes. I mean,
that's a great fight, cut too short.
Yes. It very much. And that's the funny thing, though, too, because that's not actually what happens in the book, technically. Jaime sets his troops on Ned and then just, like, hightails it out. He doesn't, like, actually go in and fight. So the fact that they even showed that, I'm glad that they did, because, like, I love, because Jaime's considered one of the best fighters that ever was, like, let alone that in existence at the time. But then Ned is also considered a legendary warrior because of just the war and, like, specific people that he was listed to have killed. So it is just a clash of titans that are fighting against each other. And you see that Jaime's, like, pulling all these trick moves when he's fighting. And that's how he killed Jory, by, like, he blocked him. And then right when he blocked him, pulled a knife and stabbed him in the eye. And you can see that he's trying to do similar moves with Ned, and Ned's just not having it. Like, Ned's just a blunt force guy coming in and just parrying everything. And the guy, he was legitimately angry that his soldier, like, crippled him that way.
Yeah, I think that was such an interesting fight and a really well placed one, because it showed Ned's strength, but it also showed that Jaime wasn't just a monster.
Yes. I think it just showed, like, okay, I think it was almost like they're trying to show what the rest of, I mean, not to spoil anything, I feel like it was almost like a parable for how the conflict between the Lannisters and the Starks was necessarily going to happen. It's an epic front fight where you really don't know where it's going, and somebody gets stabbed in the back at a moment that they didn't think they were going to get stabbed in the back.
Oh, God, I'm not ready for that.
It's going to be heavy. Is there anything else you want to talk about those two fights, or really anything else in these two episodes?
I think that's it. I think we covered it.
Okay, awesome. Well, again, we're not to episode 10 yet, so we don't have any dragons to be talking about, guys. In the meantime, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Comment below. Chase, what should they comment below? Should they comment below their favorite flavor of kettle corn? Is that what they should be?
There's only one flavor of kettle corn. And so, yeah, they should just say that. Yeah, comment below popcorn.
Kettle corn. Popcorn. Comment below popcorn, or comment below some of your favorite fight scenes that you've seen in, let's say, fantasy in general, because I mean this was a pretty noticeable fight scene, and I think pretty great. But again, thanks for hanging out, everybody, and until next time.
Yes, sir.
That's all for this week's Dragon Lore. Takes cold and hot, spread shore to shore. Enjoyed yourself? Please join the squad. Follow on social media at BigLizPod. And one quick reminder before you go, to rate, review, and share the show. Thank you for listening. It means a lot. See you next week, same time, same spot.